Kenny, my man,
Randy,
how you
what
doing?
up? I'm good, man. It's something. Happy Monday. It's been an interesting past week. You feel me?
Happy Monday. Again, we are doing this live right after Monday Night Raw, December 9th, 2024. Before we got on, me and you were watching the only NBA game on the schedule, the Knicks
Oof.
big time victory over Toronto. You know,
Shout out to Cat.
the big bodega with the three. I know you're a
Dominican
Pistons
Bodega.
fan, but it's what's whatever with you.
Hey, hey, listen, man. Grand Hill since Grand Hill
That's
from the
right.
Bronx, but it is what it is. So
That's
I
right.
gotta give I gotta give the Knicks props. They 5 out of 6 wins this already. So 5 games
Yep.
won out of 6. Impressive.
Big
Impressive.
cup game on Wednesday against Atlanta at the Garden.
Oh, bring back Trey Young.
That's right.
Villain,
Trey
villain.
Young, the villain. That's right. If you're
We got
watching
some
us
villains.
on Twitter, X, thank you. We appreciate you. Any questions, comments, hit us up in the chat. You can find us also on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, youtube.com/
Mhm.
Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. Audio can be found on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. Again, doing this live right after Monday Night Raw, December 9th,
Mhm.
2024. Follow Kenny on Twitter at Cowabunga_K_E_N. Myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, the letter JCRUZ, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Here you go. Jose, let's go Knicks. That's right,
Yeah,
buddy.
let's go Knicks.
That's right. That's right. Big cat, big bodega in the building. Good win in Toronto. You know, see some former Knicks, RJ and everything. So that was good. Good to see him doing well up in Toronto. I think
Yes, yes.
he's still hurt, right? Quickly?
I think so. Quickly was hurt. Now that would have been pretty interesting.
He's been out for a
But
minute, man.
yeah, it's kind of like, just like shocking because, quickly along with
Hmm.
RJ or so, they really did something, especially during that after the 2021, after the pandemic, playing against the Hawks. That was
Yeah.
that was a little good, mini squad what they did, and it would have been
Hmm.
nice to see him. Now let's see what happens in the Garden, but
True.
a lot. It's a lot.
Um, My man Noob. Hello, Noob. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Happy holidays. Again, if you're watching live on Twitter and YouTube, hit us up in the comments. Any questions, comments? We're gonna have our boy Benjamin Cruz from the Ringer Wrestling Podcast on in a few minutes. Talk about Raw. We're gonna preview Saturday night's main event. Whatever
Mhm.
else is going on in the
Woo.
world of pro wrestling. Before Benjamin gets on here, and this might be down Noob's warehouse. I did mention December 9th, 2024, but December 9th, 2001. I'm a big anniversary guy, Kenny. I'm not sure you noticed, but big anniversary guy. I want to see if this rings a bell. Today, to the day, 23 years ago today, um, Chris Jericho at Vengeance 2001 defeated
Ye
Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night to become the first ever undisputed champion.
Yep, yep.
23 days to the day for Y2J, Chris Jericho. Did
Mhm.
you know that before I said it or no?
I did not, but I do remember that pay-per-view. That was right after, Survivor Series. That was like going towards the turn of I would say they wanted to try to debut the new attitude or step into birthing what will be somewhat a stuck between the attitude and the birth of the ruthless aggression era.
Yes.
That was a good little card for the match. It was particularly interesting how he was gonna do it after doing like the last 4 or 5 months with the invasion era. So it
Hmm.
was good, especially we saw the first undisputed. They gave it to Jericho. Jericho's put in a lot of work in the industry, well deserved, and just showing that they're taking the belts from the powerhouses, which was Stone Cold and The Rock, and they showcasing it to Chris Jericho.
Hmm.
So that was to someone new. That was one thing, like turning the torch over.
Yeah, and trust me, those who are watching, I think 45 of you popped up again. Any questions, comments, hit us up in the chat. I really appreciate you chiming in on a Monday night. We are going to get to the current stuff in a bit, but I mean, going to what you said about Jericho, the anniversary, to defeat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. Um, yeah, I think he's the only one to do it still. And it just kind of showed the faith that Vince had in Jericho. Jericho debuted 2 years prior. He would just middle of the pack, trying to figure out what to do, and then you skyrocket him into the world heavyweight title picture with the likes of Stone Cold, The Rock, and Triple H, and Kurt Angle, Undertaker. And then seeing that run that led up to WrestleMania 18,
Yeah, against him and Triple
H,
H.
you have Stephanie with Jericho, which great storyline. Um,
Yeah,
but I think his story arc was dope at that time because, as you mentioned, it was dominated by Stone Cold and The Rock and those guys, and to get Jericho, a WCW guy, I think was very important. That hey, we're not just gonna put the titles on our guys; we're gonna put the titles on the guys coming in. And to my question, I'll probably ask Benjamin when he comes on later on: Is Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho the best or the greatest WCW wrestler to come to the WWE?
he is one of them. I would say he is one of them, especially with if you look at the category of like look at his accomplishments, but also too look at his ring performances and what kind of matches and superstars he's matched up with.
Yeah.
Matched up, a couple times with Kurt Angle, going up against with
Yes.
Triple H, Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
It's just the caliber of matches, different caliber matches, such as either cage matches, Hell in a Cells,
Mm.
particularly a lot of submission matches, 2 out of 3 falls, last man standing matches. So the category speaks for itself, and being the first one to hold to win ever those the undisputed championship,
Hmm.
both the WCW belt and the original WWF wing title belt.
Yeah.
So we were just like everyone was just probably like thinking like, oh, we probably want Steve to win it, probably The Rock, but we saw that between The Rock and Chris Jericho during the alliance beef, where Jericho won the title off The Rock, but then lost it. So we probably had a toss up. It was probably going to be Austin and Kurt Angle, but then Austin and Jericho. So when we saw that change, we were just interested to see this new direction. And Jericho picked
Mm.
up on the arrogance. He built off that character, the king of the world, the best of the best. Came out there his infamous Y2J pose, swinging the belts.
Yep.
Well, that just brought up about saying arrogance, saying he can't be touched, he just can't be stopped. But if anything, his ring performance, everything that he's accomplished, really showcased enough. It's just almost, I would say, for one thing, even after he won it, I feel like he should have still gotten, he should have still possibly gotten more of an opportunity after that opportunity, like after WrestleMania. He should have still had an opportunity to still fight for the world championship afterwards. Because I know after that he went on a stint of within the tag team titles
Yeah.
and the intercontinental titles. He probably went back to what he started out to come, which we was great in. But I would have liked to see Y2J in more in the heavyweight championship
Mm.
discussions, prior to when he came back for his second running. But within the years, like after he won the undisputed title, it would have been nice for him to, still compete about it within those different storylines. That would have worked great,
Mm.
especially during the King of the Ring, even something possibly with going forward with as they were going on with the brand with possible Lesnar, maybe The
Hmm.
Rock. And I know they gave him an opportunity during the Elimination Chamber, but twice. But I would like to see some more singles competition.
Right. I got Benjamin in the queue. Let me get him on for right
Okay,
now. Benjamin,
What up? What's up, guys? How
what's
you
up,
guys
man?
what's
How
doing?
up?
you doing?
Good,
How's it
man. How
going,
are
man?
you?
I'm doing good, man. I think I saw you in the queue. We before we get into Raw and the Saturday Night Main Event, all that kind of stuff. I was telling Kenny that today to the day is 23 years. Jericho won the world title, well, the undisputed championship.
Right.
first ever to pin Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night at Vengeance '01. You know, I'm a big anniversary guy, so I'm like, you know, let me see if Kenny knew what today was. December 9th.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you the same thing. Did you know about today being the anniversary? And if you didn't, what do you remember from Jericho's historical night? Because no one still has pinned The Rock or Stone Cold at the same night.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it was today.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why we do the show.
This is
We
the
just don't
service.
recap Raw and SmackDown. We talk about
Yeah.
other things.
This is the service you provide. No, it's
That's
it was. I remember when it happened. So I'm taking myself back to how old am I at this time? Like 14. I'm in high school. I remember not understanding it, and this was just complete ignorance. To be honest, because it was just I liked Jericho. I liked him fine at that time, but there was just no way in high school Ben Cruz's mind that he was touching anything The Rock and Stone Cold were doing. You know what I mean? Like it was, it was like the Kobe and LeBron thing, right? Where you're like, oh, that's 1-2, and then this would be like if Dwayne Wade, well, in some cases, I guess he did. You know, he won the title out of nowhere, right? And you're just like, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, now you're like, with a retrospective lens, it makes sense. Jericho's going to be an all-time great, but when he hangs up the boots, and this was one of the catalysts for that, right? He was already great. He was on his way to becoming great, but this stamped him as kind of one of these dudes. And this is one of the big reasons why when you see him even now on television, you're like, yeah, he's that guy. He's that dude. You know what I mean? So
right.
Happy anniversary.
That's right. And real quick before you got on, I asked Kenny too. Is Chris Jericho the greatest WCW guy to go to the WWE? Damn, that's a long pause, man.
I know this.
I'm just running through it. I guess you'd have to just for longevity, from the longevity answer.
Yeah,
like that's where I'm going to lean on, because I mean, everyone else I want to show love to Booker T. I really do. You know, what I mean? King Booker. What are we doing here? You know, he's another incredible legend. I just to play the quick devil's advocate in my head, I said, that was Goldberg, and then I axed that real quick. So yeah, I'm gonna go with you. I'm going Chris Jericho.
Oh man. Yeah. So Benjamin Cruz from the Ring of Wrestling podcast. You can find Benjamin on Twitter at Cruise Control, KONTROL. Co-host of the Wednesday Worldwide podcast on the Ring of Wrestling feed with Brian Waters and
Cal Davenport.
Cal Davenport. Yeah. There you go. So Kenny, Benjamin's all the way in LA, home of the world champions, LA Dodgers. And
whoa. I'm in the Bay Area, and
you're in the Bay Area.
Oh, that's the Giants.
Okay, in no way, yeah.
Damn,
in no way will I be associated with the Dodgers. And
my bad, damn.
That team down there.
So you're not a Dodger fan?
No.
So you're a fan of who?
In the Bay?
The Giants.
Oh, you Giants. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I guess it could have been the A's, but that would have opened up.
I'm sorry. Home of the National League former champions a while ago.
It's been 10 years.
Giants.
I'm not holding on to it no more. It's been 10 years. It's time to get some chips, or
That's right.
Or I'm gonna stop caring. It's gonna happen.
Because me and Kenny are here in New York, home of the Aaron Judge Yankees and the Juan Soto New York Mets.
That's right. God, the newly minted Juan Soto.
That's right.
756 million reasons Juan Soto.
Hey, you know what, Benjamin? Put the Juan Soto leaving the Yankees going to the Mets in pro wrestling terms. Can we do that? Can we find a situation where someone just turns? I guess he turned heel. Obviously, he turned heel. There's a lot of Yankee fans who are upset today.
I'll be one of them.
I mean, is that? It's not quite Roman, because Soto was supposed to be next, right? Like that was kind of the.
Is it Seth the chair to Roman?
Maybe it's Seth. I'm just trying to think of like who's kind of on that upper echelon. I would say almost Cody, but then Cody did that the other way. So that one is not a one-to-one comparison. Maybe Seth. I guess just to answer the question, it's kind of a guy who's 1A, 1B type of dude who's been,
Yeah.
in Seth's case, a WWE lifer outside of his time in in the Indies and Ring of Honor and whatnot. But yeah, I guess that's the Soto comparison. But man, I forgot that was. Am I talking to two Yankees fans, or am I talking to a Yankee and a Mets fan? Like,
Listen,
where are
you
we
are.
at?
Yankees.
I am a fan of nobody.
Oh, okay, you're a
I'm
baseball
Yankee fan.
agnostic. Oh, you're a Yankee. Oh, it's a rough day for you then.
Bro, you know how many oh my God. Twitter is hilarious, and you know how
True.
funny it is on everything they
It's amazing.
He was like, he left the Bronx just to go to Queens, probably what for good food or what? You really gonna leave 161 to go to Flushing, Queens? You gonna leave the 4 train to go to the 7 train?
The Yankee security should have been nicer to his family. You guys read all that? Just tossing his family and his chef and his drivers out.
I mean, even
Maybe
if
ask
that
them
is
your
true,
wife.
we don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I think it was it Passon? It was from a
Jeff Passan,
reputable,
yeah.
it was a
Jeff
reputable
Passan.
guy. It wasn't like a Skip Bayless type situation. So I'm
Was that
into that kind of drama. Because on the surface, it was wild. Where you're like, he just took $5 million to go play for the Mets. That doesn't make any sense. Once you sprinkle
That's
in the
right.
other
He said
stuff,
good food, Jose. Yeah, he said good food.
yeah, good food. Yeah, you sprinkle all this family drama, or like the fact that the Mets included that $500,000 suite a year for his family to have.
Yep.
I like this. This is the baseball that I'm choosing to invest in because these numbers just don't make sense to me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gay. Go ahead.
If I was to put this in the perspective of wrestling, let's say because the Yankees and the Mets, this is Raw and SmackDown. We could put it like that. And so would you put like the Mets manager, he's either the manager of the Mets that signed Juan Soto, would you say that they are either Eric Bischoff or Stephanie McMahon, and how?
I would
see Kenny gets very detailed on the show.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with Bischoff just because he just seemed more, and probably because like the real life application there where he was just more business savvy. Like he was able to combine the business savvy behind the scenes and the on-screen character pretty seamlessly. Like Stephanie, I think she played a very specific character, right? Once she got on screen, and what a brilliant mind as well. But like, I feel like her character was separated more kind of from the business Stephanie. And whereas Bischoff was just kind of, you kind of never knew where he started and where he ended, even kind of now, right? Where he's just like, when he's on his pod or he's showing up on NXT or MLW, you're like, is he in kayfabe right now or is he not? And I think
you're right.
I think it's just one of those things where, I mean, that the Mets, they pulled a hat. They pulled something out of their hat. You know what I mean?
It's a lot. Wild. It's a lot going on. And if I put into a wrestling term, it's like how Ted Turner just had all the money. I'm gonna get Hogan. I'm gonna get Savage. I'm gonna get and Hal Steinbrenner is big man. Like I got the money, but maybe I just don't want to spend it. Now I'm gonna be like, just let's see what happens. And if they walk, I'm gonna get other guys to come on my roster and be just as good. Like it's gonna take 2 or 3 guys to replace a Soto. But listen, here in New York, man, last night 11:30 midnight, it was going on, and I was like, oh, I wasn't shocked or surprised. But he spent 1 year with the Yankees, and I was shocked that how the Yankee fans felt like he was like a 10-year vet with the roster. Now I get if Aaron Judge left, all right, I get it. But Juan was here for 1 year, and it's like, all right, I'm out, and then I'll stay in New York to go to the Mets, who's on the up and coming. And now it's not that little brother shit no more. Like, nah, I had the money too, just as much as you, if not more. So if there's a free agent out there, best believe that we on the radar, the same radar as well. I think Juan just kind of set that tone for other free agents going, because look, bro, the highest paid guy ever in sports is Juan Soto.
In sports.
Sports.
This is where we are in 2024. Burning Juan Soto's jersey, Yankees fans, I'm not here to criticize,
that is.
but burning his jersey after 1 year, and that's just a waste of $120 that you spent. You know what I mean? And he's getting 756 or whatever it is, that astronomical number. So I don't know if you proved the point. You just wasted $120 from last year. Maybe hang on to it.
I still got mine. I'm gonna just probably bury it deep. But
change the stitching. Just take off his name. You know what I mean? Just wait till that number recirculates. Are the names even on the back of Yankees jerseys? Isn't that one of these
mine is
ones where well, you might just bought the wrong jersey.
I might. Hey, I just had to. If not, then I'll just buy a Derek Jeter or Bernie Williams jersey. I might just do that.
Yeah, that's see if you can swap it out. Swap it out. You know.
Or just all right,
Ben. So we got you on here talking wrestling on here. We got Raw just happened. So on this show after Raw, it depends on what happens on Raw. So whether it's good or whatever, we'll bring it up. This is not like your full Raw recap. So but we do have Saturday night's main event coming up this Saturday on Long Island. As of right now, we have 5 matches on the card, which I think will take up the entire 2 hours. Obviously, matter of fact, just made tonight, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre. We also have Liv Morgan and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. We got Bayley or Chelsea Green against Michin or Tiffany Stratton for the United States Championship tournament finals. We have Gunther against Finn Balor and now Damian Priest in a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And obviously the main event, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for the Undisputed Championship. Kenny and I have been on the show last couple of weeks, my boy Graham, and we were saying that I think Kenny's on my side as well, saying that I think it's a great time for Kevin Owens to win the world title from Cody Rhodes, and then I'm not saying have KO have like a year-long run, but just something to kind of interrupt this reign, because I want to get your feelings too about it's been a okay reign for me for Cody Rhodes, and I think if you're gonna do this main event show, that something crazy has to happen, something monumental has to happen. So when they do it again, it's like, you know what, I gotta watch it. I can't miss it because this happened. Do you feel that Cody Rhodes should lose the title to Kevin Owens this Saturday?
Should he? Probably. Will he? I don't think so. I don't think it's again. To your point of, you know, for Saturday, this is the first Saturday night's main event, you know, in a minute, right? And they want to have that moment. They want to have something that people are going to talk about on social and just get a buzz going. I feel like this is already going to happen in essence with the U.S. kind of the women's U.S. champion, right? Like that's going to be the moment. Versus this, I think, like you and again, I'm hoping I'm wrong. Like I think I'm higher on Cody's title reign than probably most, but this would be, to say this would be a surprise would be an understatement. Like I would actually be shocked, but like I'm kind of okay with that, because if you look at the last couple of PLEs, right, and there've been some, you know, there've been some great stories and great feuds that have come out of those. They've been kind of predictable, and I mean predictable in the best way possible, in that the storytelling has just made sense, right? Yes. Like it's gotten to an end point where, you know, Punk beats Drew at Bad Blood and Hell in a Cell in one of the most gruesome matches ever, and you're like, yeah, after kind of what they went through, was it probably predictable that Punk was going to walk out on top? I think so, but like the story made sense, and I think collectively in this Triple H era, I think that's what we've been okay with. Now, again, I think now, especially after tonight, you know, with Cody being on Raw, talking to Adam Pearce, and Netflix is gonna, I think, want Cody. Those reports out there that Netflix wants Cody, they want Roman, they want the whole goddamn SmackDown roster over there.
Yeah.
A lot of the business side is preventing me from making a full prediction that KO is going to walk out of there. Now, when KO won the title, the Universal title the first time, when Triple H turned on Seth, and we were all just baffled. Like, would I love to feel that again? Sure. I just don't think we're quite there yet.
Mhm.
So that's my long-winded way of saying I would like to see it. I just don't think it's going to happen personally. Where did you guys net out?
Kenny, go ahead.
I think that it might. I think it will happen at Saturday night, this Saturday night, and I think it will lead up because everything that's connected within it, I call it the wrestling multiverse, and now it's all unraveling, and we're seeing it, especially with people like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and now Drew McIntyre, and it all circulates around Roman Reigns, the bloodline. Everyone's trying to get there. Everyone's trying to. This is like getting even or tying loose ends. So we're seeing someone like Cody, people like Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns. Everyone's connected. CM Punk. They're all entangled with this within Roman Reigns and the bloodline. So with that, they're going to try to chop it all. They just getting revenge, chopping it all down. Jason Statham and Fast and the Furious. Drew McIntyre goes after Jay, goes after Sammy. Then next starts reigniting maybe a minor feud with Punk. Kevin Owens, he was mad at Randy Orton, somewhat having a small allegiance with Roman Reigns. Gave him a power driver, and now with Cody Rhodes for this for the world heavyweight champion for the world title. So all this is going to lead up, and then I know with the big Netflix deal, I know in January they're also going to have another Saturday night main event. I believe in somewhere in Texas. So
San Antonio,
San Antonio. So we might actually see some title changes, and if anything, there'll be a title change on Saturday night main event. Guess what? Maybe they face off again in January. Maybe in a bigger match. Maybe they do a Hell in a Cell. Maybe they do a last man standing match for the title. So because we need to see possibly it'd be good to see possibly a title change within it to show that okay, maybe you have fight and durability to win it back again. You have that courage. You have that It's a little different. Cody's reign is different from Roman, so we need to see him be a fighting champion against opponents that he's willing to lose, but he can also beat again. From Roman's aspect, he was just that dominant, and we knew that him and Cody were going to cross that bridge at some time in life, constantly again. And we saw him finish the story. But I think for Cody's reign, he needs to show that he's actually willing to lose, but also willing to win harder, win better as well.
That's right.
So that's more where he needs to go. That gives me to ask you this: where do you see in this wrestling multiverse timeline? Where do you see possibly WrestleMania? Do you see Cody keeping the belt? And if so, who do you possibly may see him face in WrestleMania? It could be Roman, it could be Seth, it could be CM Punk. Who does Cody possibly fight in your wrestling timeline at WrestleMania in Vegas?
So for the longest time, until the past couple weeks, I thought it was gonna be Rock. I just think like that there's still something there. There's still like more juice to get out of that one. Obviously, if you kind of you're reading the dirt sheets and whatnot, it's very TBD on if Rock's going to be involved there at all. If he's not, a
tough one right there.
I was getting close to Randy, because I feel like at some point, again, all of Cody's friends turn on this dude. Right, like at some point, Cody sucks at picking friends. I'm sorry, like everyone goes after this dude.
Exactly,
and that story of his, facing his mentor at WrestleMania 41, I think would be incredibly compelling. You could kind of, if and when Randy comes back on this road to Mania, he can pull that string of, KO pile drove me because of you, right? This dude used a band move on you. You know what I mean? And the lead up to it would just the amount of B-roll and footage they could use of like their history. Like Randy's been side-eyeing that title even when he was on screen,
many times,
right? Like he's thirsty for that thing. So
Randy is like Westbrook looking at KD's.
Yeah, he's that meme personified. So I think it would be great if he is still champion and that's the story that they're telling. Again, if at some point Rock, descends from the boardroom and decides that he wants that, I'm sure that they will go there because TKO will sign off on that, 10 times over, and they got to fill that Vegas stadium. So
Yeah.
if it's not Rock, I'm hoping it's Randy because I would actually be that kind of storytelling would be super compelling.
Before I get back to main event, so could it be Cody and this guy?
Cena?
Could it be? Hey, I wouldn't rule it out.
I wouldn't rule it out either. I mean, I feel like I see more him and Gunther. More so if Gunther's still champion walking into Mania, right, which he probably will.
I mean, listen, he could lose it on Saturday. If you're keeping the buck, he could lose it to Finn or Damian.
He could.
But if you're telling me Cody's gonna win, I think one of those change hands.
I don't know.
Not gonna have both. I
would like to believe that. Again, I want the change as much as you do in any capacity. I think I've just been it's so ingrained in me now where I'm just like, I thought this for 3 years with Roman. You know what I mean? Like I'm still recovering from that mindset of, this is gonna be it. Sammy's gonna do it. Montreal, blah blah blah. And then you know what I mean? It was all these moments with it. Jay's gonna do it, and I'm done making until they prove me otherwise. And like I think this is part of what makes wrestling so freaking addicting. Is just like you're just waiting for it, right? You're like, no, it's gonna be the next one. It's not gonna be this one.
You're like, I promise you, next year, your next month,
we
got you.
Or you talk like again. Once we sign off of this recording, you might talk me into one of these titles changing, and I'm gonna bring it to Worldwide and be like, Cal, Brian, guess what? Cody's done. He's cooked. It's Kevin Owens for champion or quitting the show. So
yeah,
that's the magic of this whole thing. But I think Cena. I feel like Cena Gunther is more likely than Cody.
If I had the pen, okay, for the sake of argument, there's no Rock at all. Rock can't do it. He can't do it. You could do again if Gunther's champion, Gunther and Brock Lesnar.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
That's the match he wants. That's
right
or wrong. He said that verbatim. I want Brock. I would like to get the ring with Brock. Right now, is it for a title? It don't have to be for a title. I could do Cena and Cody or Orton and Cena. We got to pay off Orton and KO at some point in time.
Yeah.
Do we get Seth and CM Punk at WrestleMania? I mean, when are we getting that match?
I feel like that's the Mania match. I think of all the ones you listed, that's probably going to happen.
Main event, night one.
I mean, that's the other question too, which is, if Cody's going to close night 2, right? Like, I think this is just kind of where we are with it. Where do you slot Gunther? If it's Gunther Cena, that's going to close night 1. I feel like Cena's going to close night 1. And that leaves, now I would love to see Punk Seth close out night 1. If that feels like an opener though, at this point, like in this imaginary booking of, Cena being involved in the world title picture and Cody still being champion.
So the latest we get Punk and Seth is Mania. The earliest you think they'll hold off to Mania?
I say night 2 opening. They'll open up night 2.
No, I'm saying so. Like obviously, you got main event, you got Chamber, you got Royal Rumble. So we're not getting no Punk, no Rollins 1-on-1 until WrestleMania. You're saying?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna try to keep because they've already had to wait. Yeah, like if Punk doesn't get hurt last year, they probably worked that match at last year's Mania.
Yeah, night 1 for sure.
Yeah, and then they have to pivot because Punk gets hurt. So I'm guessing in Triple H's eyes is like, we've waited this long. Like we're not going to. I mean, maybe you tease it at Raw debut on Netflix and something wonky happens, right?
Okay.
And there's some interruption there. Like you get everyone into the into the app
Mm-hmm.
but like paying it off anywhere else, like the Rumble, that seems kind of anticlimactic. I guess what else is in there? Elimination Chambers in the mix
Yeah.
there, right? It
That
just seems like you can wait till Mania.
and Chambers in Toronto.
Toronto, yeah,
Kevin Owens land Canada.
right. So
Mm.
I feel like Seth Punk is, unless they do a series of 3 like they ran Punk and Drew. So
Yeah.
in that light, then yeah, maybe you run one on Raw, Netflix debut, and then one at Elimination Chamber, and you keep upping the ante, right, with kind of the stipulation. And at Mania, you close it out with something like a cage match or hell. I don't know if you go Hell in a Cell again for Punk.
Nah.
And he's not gonna put his body through that again, but some sort of way to close that feud out. But it's gonna be there.
Before Kenny chimes back in, are you still high on Punk and Seth today as you were when Punk first got back, or do you feel like it's a little less, or do you think they had to get you to that moment where last year they were white hot, thinking they were going to go at Mania? Are you still high on that match right now?
I'm still high on it, but to your question, probably not as high as I was after Punk came back last year, because again, that video of Seth's reaction and him, like, the one that the fan took, or again, who knows if this was purposely leaked, but him like just completely losing his shit and just cussing Punk out from the bottom of the ramp. And they just released that behind the scenes video on YouTube a couple weeks ago. And everyone who was in that match, aside from Drew and Seth, like came by to say what's up and dap up Punk, right? But that just added to that feeling that we had that, oh, Seth doesn't like this dude, man. Like,
Yeah.
And now, I mean, it's probably still true. I mean, they cut promos on each other tonight, right? And they got a little bit real, but at the same time, I have this I just have this feeling that behind the scenes they've pseudo patched it up. Like they've like, we can make money together. Like what's said and said, let's just, and I'm not saying they're friends, but I don't know if it's as antagonistic as it was when Punk first came back. So if I was at a 10 when Punk first came back, I'm probably at an 8.5 now. So I still want to see it because I think it's gonna be great.
So I promise we're gonna get back to the main event. Just to kind of wrap this conversation up before Kenny goes next. So as of right now, we've been throwing out a lot of names. Who do you have winning the Royal Rumble right now?
The Rumble, and they get to pick. I mean,
because there's a lot of choices.
I think I'm gonna go Cena. I think that would be the weirdest, but also kicking off the year of Cena's farewell tour or whatever they're calling it. And that's how he calls out Gunther. Again, I just had to work backwards, right? Because it was if I was fantasy booking Cena, Gunther, and Randy, Cody, I don't know if I see Randy winning it. No, like I don't. That doesn't. I don't know if that does anything for anybody. But if Cena does in his last go around, again, I'm not saying he's going to win the title off of Gunther, but to have him have that moment, I think would be pretty sick. So that's where I'm at.
And what he gets to win the 17th world title at Mania, or do you think he takes the L?
I think he takes the L. I don't think he's gonna break it. I don't. It's. I think he wins. I have him winning the Intercontinental title before him winning a 17th title. It's the one title he's never had it, which is,
you're right.
He's like Sheamus out here, right? He's had dudes have had every single title except one of the most prestigious titles in WWE history. So I was just trying to work backwards from there.
All right, Kenny, go ahead. What you got?
So with that, we saw tonight. We saw Gunther debuted out in the ring. Gunther came out, wanted to set the stage between him and Finn Balor. So now we're going to the other championship that's making it work. Gunther So Finn, Gunther fighting for the title. Now in comes Damian Priest. In comes Damian Priest in the picture. How do you see this angle between Priest and Gunther? Working with him. We're seeing that their feud is starting to boil up since SummerSlam. We
Yeah.
just had something in Survivor Series with Finn. Do you see possibly Gunther and Damian Priest like maybe building up something like per se like saying John Cena and Randy Orton? Do you see like something building up with them, especially within Saturday night as we go further on into Netflix and WrestleMania? Do you see something, a
Good
new
question.
rivalry between those two?
I mean, possibly. Like I just this would be what if they break off. This would be kind of round 3 for them,
Yeah,
right?
this will be the third encounter.
So I could see it, but honestly, I think I'm more interested. Well, okay, let me start over with that. I think I'm more interested in Damian Priest now than when I was toward the end of his title reign.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was just becoming a little bit too vanilla. And like we saw the Judgment Day, they were crumbling, right? So I get it. This version of Damian Priest, I think, could do a third round with Gunther, but and this is going to contradict what I said earlier with my prediction, but I'd almost be more interested in Priest Finn with a title attached and that feud like moving forward, right? If you're going to take the title off of Gunther, put the strap on Finn or Damian, and then have them go at it, because I think I'm good off of Gunther Damian. Like there's only so many times I can hear Gunther call him street trash. You know what I mean? Like and then so I'd be fine if that's the route that they go, which, to the storytelling aspect would be probably fine. All right, a third go around. But I think I'd rather see this Damian Finn thing with a title attached. I don't think we're going to, but I think you're probably more correct in that we're probably going to see Gunther and Damian kind of peel off here, do the thing for a little bit longer, kind of heading into Rumble season. But I'm looking at the inclusion of Finn in here, and I'm like, him and Damian's kind of nice,
Yeah. No, I get it.
I've been cooking.
All right, so to finalize main event, you're going with Cody. Kenny, you're going with KO or Cody?
Kevin Owens takes it from Cody Rhodes in Uniondale, Long Island.
All right, I got KO. All right, Sami Zayn or Drew McIntyre? I would like to think Drew McIntyre.
I think Drew's going to take it.
Drew, I think he's going to destroy this dude.
That's right.
Drew's going to take it, and we have a new birth between the negative bunch. Mr. Negative Bunches.
He's just checking it off. This dude's like John Wick. Did you hear his promo tonight? He's like, everyone who aligned himself with Roman and Punk is dead to me.
That's right.
I'm actually going to kill you. So he's going to start with Sam. Jay's next. Jimmy's right there, So it's going to get dark for those guys.
Gunther, Finn Balor, Damian Priest. Do we have still champion Gunther, or will we have a new champion? If so, who we got?
Gunther retains, but with the help of Judgment Day interference, and it might cost Finn the championship.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
So they're turning on Finn.
Maybe because we saw earlier tonight, Finn came out with the Judgment Day, and he made an insulting remark to Dom, basically like a passive aggressive, insult Dom, and Dom just looked his way and just kept on. So that can also boil over as well. But I think Gunther retains the title, but we still see the Judgment Day starting to slip apart. And basically he's going to ask for help, but I think they may cost him his opportunity.
Okay.
I got Gunther retaining too. I don't. If I have to power rank who I want to see, I want to see Finn win it, because that would be the weirdest thing, right? But Gunther is probably going to kind of keep this thing going, and
I would say Gunther as well. Liv Morgan, Io Sky, Women's World Championship. big Liv Morgan fan here, so I listen. They got 3 title matches. Someone's gonna walk out without it. So I hope it's not Liv. Um,
Liv's keeping
who
it.
you got, Io or Liv? Benjamin, who you got?
I'm going with Liv on this, and it's just the Judgment Day aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Like Io's gonna have damage control, kind of watching her back too. But again, having Raquel back there, Dominic, Carlito, like they're just kind of outnumbered.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is gonna lead to though a Liv Io Rhea triple threat. I think that's coming based on the way that Raw ended tonight. Right?
Yeah.
I saw that.
Rhea is obsessed with destroying. She's been obsessed with destroying Liv and Judgment Day, but she got her title back, or she's at least held it for a second, and Io was pulling on that string too. So, it's possible that Rhea is going to be back in the title picture, but with because I think Io right now, not that we needed this reminder, she's reminding everyone that she's got the goods. She can go and she could be a world champion at the drop of a hat. So that'd be a fun triple threat, by the way.
I got Liv. Benjamin got Liv. Who you got, Kenny?
I got Liv. Liv is still gonna hold on. We're gonna still see this going into WrestleMania.
All right, then Benjamin, who we have as the first ever Women's United States champion? Bayley, Chelsea Green, Michin, or Tiffany Stratton?
So full transparency, my heart says Chelsea Green because I think that would be incredible. She would be an amazing mid-card title holder. I'm going to go with my head here. I'm probably going to go with Bayley. I think whenever they've introduced, obviously they've only introduced the tag team titles, and Bayley was the first winner of that. You know what I mean, with Sasha, and this would complete Bayley's Grand Slam, right? Like she'd be the first to win literally all of them, and now the Intercontinental title is in the picture. But for her to just add this title to her resume, it's just going to inch her closer to that. Because as of right now, Grand Slam winner. She's just going to keep adding to this. And if you want to, make this mid-card title feel that important, she's the clear-cut winner, I think.
Okay, Benjamin. Did Bayley attack Jade Cargill? Yes or no? And if not,
no, I don't think so. Because I think it's too obvious. Because obviously when you see Jade, sprawled out on that car, you're like, oh, it's Bayley. She's going back to the thing, the heel turn.
Yeah.
A couple days after, I talked myself into, I think it's one of two people. I think it's Naomi, or I think it's Bianca. I think that, and it's more. I think it's more Naomi than it is Bianca, because Bianca was in the match. It was just the way that Bianca left the match, where I was like, you look like you're trying to hide something, Bianca. Maybe you pushed her up, but I don't think it's Bayley. I think that answer is too obvious.
I know Kenny mentioned Bianca. He was doing some, investigation. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, so that means she had to attack Jade, go out for the match. They find her, and she acts like all surprised. Oh my god, why would I do that to my tag team partner? And then, if you're trying to find the core, if it is Bianca, like, why would Bianca do that to her own tag team partner? Like, what reasons would that be?
I mean, with any other tag team that's breaking up, jealousy. This partnership's holding me back. I should be going for singles titles, not the mid card singles title. I should be in the world title picture.
Yeah, but to push you on top of a car is good.
well, no, she's strong as hell. Please.
So. Right. You want to hear some bizarre I went into my Ace Ventura bag. So the way that Jade fell means she was just flat on her back, right?
Yeah.
So she wasn't pushed from behind. She was talking to somebody. They were having a face-to-face conversation. And so she knew the assailant. And look, maybe I'm just watching too much Law and Order SVU. Maybe that's the case.
Right before Raw.
Yeah. But again, the way that she fell completely flat on her back. So she saw the person coming.
Right.
And that's why I think her and Bianca were having a conversation. Her and Naomi were having a conversation, and things escalate. Things were said, and then boom. So maybe it wasn't even an attack. It was just it was something that escalated quickly, but it became something more, and now they're trying to hide it.
Yeah, because if this meant something, then why is it taking so long to get surveillance tapes to figure out? Because there's got to be
right. We historically we know historically
it takes forever for that to pop up.
Yeah. The WWE not so good with finding security footage, right?
No.
It took us forever to figure out that
Yeah,
Triple H was the one who threw Shawn Michaels into that windshield. Right?
that's right. That's right.
That Rikishi was the driver. We're like, we have history, guys. Like the tapes exist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And
man,
we got to make this process faster. So
yeah.
Hey man, Randy had the perfect lineup because he was talking about that, and he had the perfect lead up on Twitter if Bianca was in it. What did you say, Randy?
Oh man, what did I say? What did remind me? Help me.
You quoted what Triple H said when Shawn found out who it was.
Oh, you damn right it was me, Jade. You damn right it was me.
So
Yeah.
what could lead up to that? But it would be interesting to see. But again, why would over the tag team champions? They're tag team champions right away. That's a good point on the singles competitions. Like,
well, Liv
Bianca
was also trying to like put that divide in, right? And she planted those seeds. So this wouldn't come completely out of left field. It would be a 0 to 100 situation where Liv just said it, and then all of a sudden Bianca's thinking about it. Maybe it's just too fast, but also some truth into what Liv was saying, And this may be getting way too ahead of myself, but Jade Bianca at Mania. I mean, I think we've all been fantasy booking that since Jade got signed.
Yeah,
it might be too fast. It might be too soon, but that's a money match right there. That doesn't need a title or anything.
So what if I threw out as the last haymaker? If it's not Naomi, if it's not Bianca, if it's not Bailey, like who could attack Jay? I think we mentioned I feel like she's gonna come back soon. Like Charlotte Flair. Could it be a Charlotte Flair that attacked Jay? Because if you go back in time, Benjamin, when Jay was making her rounds when she first signed, I think the first one she had face to face with was Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Now is that enough to say, oh, Charlotte was the one that pushed Jay? Like, no, Charlotte's been out for a year with a fucking injury. Like, could that be the possibility as like the last effort? Or
I don't hate it. I mean, and it would make so. I was reading today. She's almost back. She's working her way back, and that's probably going to come imminently. So, that I mean, I feel like she'd be more needed on SmackDown. But again, I guess if you're attacking Jade, she's technically on SmackDown, or I guess she can kind of go between both shows since she's the tag team champion. Charlotte could be. Oh, and she was attacked on SmackDown, right? So yeah, Charlotte actually would make some sense. I'm not. That'd be a good one. Although again, I've seen enough heel Charlotte in my life where I'm like, if that's who it is.
But that's the best one though.
You just kind of shrug your shoulders.
Charlotte's the best one.
It is, but again, if we're talking about, I want to be surprised. I want to see something different. Naomi would be crazy because they're supposed to be the three of them are supposed to be the big three, and you get some heat on Naomi. I like Naomi, fine. I think she's great, but she's kind of lost that heat ever since she came back at the Rumble last year, right? So reheat that by she's the one who attacked Jade. This is. We've seen what turning on your friends can do. Look at the New Day tonight. Those boys are on fire with the amount of heat that they have. Insane.
Yeah, they had Dom Mysterio heat when they couldn't say a fucking word.
Couldn't say anything.
How'd you feel about that? This New Day turning on Big E. Did you expect that? Obviously, you probably thought Kofi would be a bad guy or Xavier would be a bad guy, but now they both turn on Big E. And How'd you feel about it? Like how it went, how it just was laid out, and does it give you an inclination in the back of your mind that this could smell like a Big E doing something physically in the ring, whether it be Royal Rumble, WrestleMania? Could we see that happen?
I'll start there on the E front. I mean, during his side of that promo, it was interesting that he said, "I'm," if he in a lot of his interviews, he's kind of almost deaded the fact that he's trying to come back, right? Almost, not entirely, but in that promo where he was like, "Until I'm cleared," which was just an interesting use of words. Where you're like, "Oh, is that door open?" Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, the actual turn is, I thought it was incredible. Like I wasn't necessarily shocked because I was actually in my head before all this stuff. I was mapping out, obviously Woods was kind of turning to the dark side. I was hoping Kofi would turn with him. But almost the way I had it mapped out in my head was very similar to what DIY did.
Mhm.
Right? Where, Johnny sees the light and, that's how they kind of get back to the top of the mountain. I feel like this was even more effective though, because everything they were saying was so heart-wrenching. It was just it came from a place of it almost being too real, right? And I said this last week on Worldwide, where it was just like, at some point I want to see the backstage conversation that the three of them had, where E is probably telling him, "Come at me, like,
Yeah.
use X, Y, Z. Like, I want this to feel real." Like they brought up his real life girlfriend,
Mhm.
right? Who is it's Mia Yim's sister, but like not really referred to in kayfabe, if ever, So when they brought her into the mix, it was like, oh, this is getting nuts. And then you broke your neck. So what?
So what, bro?
Yeah.
That
You
is
ain't never.
dastardly. Can you
like,
can you
man.
imagine saying that to someone? Saying it to someone you hate is one thing. Can you imagine saying it to someone that you love? That is
Yeah.
that has to come from a place of real anger and real. Again, I don't think they hate E even in kayfabe. I think they were just angry, and it was coming off so clearly. And I think the fact that they didn't touch him, and obviously whatever physical limitations, he probably can't.
They got him in here.
It got him right in the heart, and it was 8 times. It was way more effective because if they just, if Kobe troubled in paradise this dude, right, it would have been shocking. Like that's a classic wrestling turn, right? It's like a Seth chair swing. The fact that they went after his heart and they just left. Oh man, that was wild. All three of them were incredible in that segment.
Go ahead, Kenny. Go ahead.
So based off that, where would you rate this in the breakup of factions? We have New Day, we have Evolution, and we have the Shield. Where would you rate that? And what would you give that out of a 10?
Wow.
So I think I'm going to put this in, maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. Maybe I'm putting this up there at the top because again, these guys have been together for 10 years, right? Like Evolution, the other groups kind of had a purpose, right? Evolution was your classic star of now, star of the past, and then 2 up and comers, right?
And it wasn't that long either. I was like a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that one had a purpose to get Randy and Batista kind of to the next level, right? Which was very successful. And you always knew, especially with Hunter kind of being the leader, it was going to, one of those guys was going to turn. Shield I remember thinking at that time when they broke up that it was too soon. It was obvious that those 3 guys were being set up to be the future, right? Yeah. Which also ends up being the truth. Those guys are the top of the entire business, not even just the company. So that was their purpose. With New Day, if you look at their entire 10 years together, again, these guys came together because what they were doing individually wasn't working. You hear them talk about this a lot, right? With their origin stories where some of these dudes thought they were going to get fired, right? Like all 3 of them thought they were done. Even the beginning days of the New Day where they really, they kind of backed into it where it became successful because they worked hard, but like it wasn't working up front either. And then for them to go from that to being one of the most beloved factions and tag teams in history, two world champions in that group, both organically, right? Like no one really got that mega push that everyone in Evolution or the Shield got. So I think that's why this one hurts so bad. It's just, again, 10 years, that's a long time to be in a group. And technically, I guess they're still in the group together. They didn't actually kick E out. They said, we'll call you, but that's why I put it at the top. I tried not to be as prisoner of the moment as possible, but just kind of walking through that rationale is, again, it's a long time, man. It's a long relationship.
Sure is.
Now, listen, I agree. I think if we're going down that route, when Evolution turned on Randy, it was shocking because Randy was world champion and he just won the title up at SummerSlam, and then Hunter did a thing, and I was like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. And then like with the Shield, that was a few more years than Evolution, and I think just how it happened, with a chair shot to the back, and Plan B, I thought, oh shit, wow,
joining the enemy too, the dudes that they just went to war with.
Yeah, they joined the whole authority and everything, and then now with the New Day stuff, it was like, it was sad, and it was like, damn, that is fucked up. But you did it with just words. Yeah. Evolution and shit would just were actions. New Day is like, I'm just talking to you like my brother. I love you, but you bugging out right now. We ain't feeling you right now.
Yeah.
Until further notice, we're gonna go our separate ways. And it's like, damn, like, wow, like, really? That's it? It's over? And I'm like, nah, this smells like Biggie might have, like, if Woods and Kofi are in the Royal Rumble, which I think they both will be, I think Biggie comes out and has some sort of interaction with them. Might be eliminating both Kofi and Xavier somehow, some way. They don't touch him. But I think this smells like maybe Biggie has. If this is one more go around, then why not one more go around with your people, in a triple threat match at Mania? That's the only way I would think why they would even include Biggie. If he's not gonna manage a heel Kofi or a heel Woods or even a heel New Day, then why bring him in at all if this doesn't sound like, yo, we're all gonna get it popping at WrestleMania?
That'd be interesting. I mean, I almost talked myself into this the other day where it was just, what if E goes the other way? It's like, you guys are right, and manages them anyway, right? Where you kind of build that where they're all three heels, and then but E having this background now, and Woods and Kofi almost like mistreating him along the way.
Yeah.
And then you have E come, turn on them, so to speak. That could be interesting. Again, this is all hypothetical, right? Like, we don't know
E's
status. And would love to see him back in the ring. It was great to actually see him on an episode of Raw, and not just as an analyst. So I think it was also a nice reminder for all of us that, like, again, when the three of these guys are on screen together, it's still magic. There's still that thing that they have.
Yeah.
Where that we've been missing for ever since E got hurt. So hopeful that the three of them can do something, I guess.
I got a few more. I'll start off with Kenny. Don't know if you guys seen this last couple of days. Obviously, Survivor Series War Games was the last weekend. But we got two major injuries from War Games. Tama Tonga and then Bronson Reed got a broken ankle. Something with Tonga. They're both out indefinitely.
His bicep. He tore his bicep. Yeah.
Torn bicep in War Games. So Kenny, does that, obviously it's not saying that's what you want to have happen in war games, but that does define war games, right? Like you might get fucked up for like a year, major injury. But does that put the war games match in jeopardy going forward? Because now, like, hey, listen, we want to have the match, but we ain't trying to have anybody get hurt, let alone two guys who are in a major storyline going forward with the Bloodline 2.0. Bronson Reed, who's going after Seth. Another guy Seth is going after. He gets hurt. We don't know how long Bronson's going to be out. Do you think it is in jeopardy of having a War Games match at Survivor Series going forward?
I think it brings some type of raise.
Like a
It
mystique?
just gives that little eyebrow raise. Okay, we do this, then what is it? Are we going to get our the superstars going to do? Because we expect every time we see the War Games some death defying moment, and we've seen that Bronson, big as he is, but great as he is, jumped off the cage, both his ankles. Like my God, both his ankles.
Bugging.
That was beyond nasty, like crazy work. But it may just give some thought into it because we've seen three people actually got hurt. Tonga, Bronson, and Jimmy broke his toe.
Yeah.
So Jimmy broke his toe. So
Jesus Christ.
Despite it just brings it more with working with what they have, but also too, it's just bringing more of working of scared of losing more talent within the duration of those years. And if so, they didn't want someone like their top guy. I know they was probably holding their breath when they saw Roman do a crossbody off the cage, off the top of the War Games cage. But
yeah,
I say they might, either might do it with some mid cards or might do one War Games. And as you said, like last week or 2 weeks before, they might start going back to the elimination style of the Survivor Series matchups to actually impact that, because War Games are fun, but we're seeing a lot more injuries and the recovery, and we don't know when the wrestlers can come in, jump back into the storylines. Last
yeah,
year we didn't have any injuries, but now this
no,
year we had 2 injuries, and oof, I know they was holding their breath when the women went first and making sure nothing
yeah.
went down for that. It was really holding their breath with that.
So Benjamin, what do you do? Are you concerned for War Games going forward? What do you think?
I'm not. Honestly, I think that they love it. The fact that I don't think they don't
Three
love the fact
guys,
that people
though.
got
Three
hurt.
guys got hurt.
It is, but then you saw the way that they've been like promoting it, right? Where they're like they had a graphic on Raw tonight. They're like, hey, Jimmy's toes broken. Bronson Reed's ankles are shattered, right? Like they have a
Coming up
picture.
next.
They have a picture of Tongaloa in his sling with a torn bicep. So I think it almost gives them more of that. See, this is they're trying to play in this real sports world more than ever, right? Especially with the association with TKO, UFC. So I don't think it's going anywhere, and I think there's a reason why it's only going to be once a year, right? And it's as dangerous as it is. Roman's okay, Cody's okay, Seth's okay, Punk's okay. And like they protected 2 of the guys. I thought I was concerned for Roman for sure. That crossbody was insane. Concerned for Punk because you're like, this dude just went through Hell in a Cell and we're gonna put him through this. Yeah. But they're able to find ways for these guys to work where they're not doing the Bronson Reed, Jimmy Uso spots anymore, or they don't have to, I should say. So I don't think it's going anywhere. If anything, again, I feel like this makes them feel like it legitimizes what they're doing almost in some like sick way, right? Because injuries are part of sports, right? They're part of everything. Every Sunday in the NFL, these dudes we're watching these dudes get into mini car accidents every possession, right? And so I don't think it's going anywhere. If anything, like there's not. I think they're going to try to limit the A and A minus guys and girls kind of being in it, and that's maybe where you have like your up and comers doing it. which could be good too. Like,
Yeah.
they all got points to prove and things they want to show off. So I don't think it's going anywhere.
Mm. I'll throw this out you before we wrap up in a few. Just going on Twitter early today. Benjamin, I'll start with you. Mark Shapiro, TKO COO, said there's definitely opportunities to expand pay-per-views to 2 nights. Obviously, we have WrestleMania, we got SummerSlam, 2 nights. Do you think we're gonna get 2-night Royal Rumble, 2-night Survivor Series? I think if they go 2 nights with anything, I don't need a 2-night Money in the Bank. I don't need a 2-night fucking Backlash, 2-night Chamber. No. Fast Lane, 2 nights. No. It's gonna be Survivor, Rumble, Mania, and SummerSlam. Are you in the camp of yeah, those can be 2 nights, or just keep SummerSlam and Mania 2 nights and that is it?
I'm pretty firmly in the camp of Mania should be the only 2-nighter.
Just Mania.
Just Mania. I mean, SummerSlam. I know they're going to go there, but look, we're already consuming so much freaking wrestling, right? And I think the beauty of some of these PLEs recently is that you're in and out, right? It's like 3.5-3-ish hours where, again, and maybe I'm still feeling the effects of WrestleMania 35 when that shit was like 7 hours long. Where
MetLife.
I'm on the West. If I'm complaining on the West Coast, where I was like, man, it's 8 o'clock. I know you guys on the East Coast were
listen. Quick story. I was at 35. My boy Graham was there as well. I could be wrong, but the main event with Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda must have got off like 11:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
In that range. And then when it was over, my boy Graham told me, oh yeah, when it was over, to get out of MetLife parking lot, because he didn't drive, to get a cab or whatever, it took another hour and a half.
Nah.
I said, what time he got home? He said, I got home like probably 2:30 from MetLife. I'm like, damn, bro.
No,
like that was when like we gotta like, because the following Mania was 2 nights, right? The COVID one.
That's when they discovered
that was the show that said, listen, we gotta change shit up here.
Yeah, and so to that point, I mean, I get it from the standpoint of, look, we probably want to get our rosters are just getting deeper, the talent is increasing, we're running out of spots for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like the way that they've structured some of these, PLEs and the surrounding Raw and SmackDowns, where they're like, all right, if Braun Breaker can't defend the Intercontinental title on, what's the next pay-per-view, PLE, like at the Rumble, I know that's an extreme example, but have him do it on Raw.
Rumble.
Yeah, like if they can't fit him on that card, put him on Raw. It gives Raw. It also makes Raw feel less of a chore, right? Where you just got to kind of watch it to get to the PLEs, or it kind of breaks up the monotony of that and the rhythm. So I've kind of liked that spin that they've put on, because again, 2 nights for all these PLEs. Look, maybe this is a better question to answer for like fans who don't have to cover what we have to cover. You know what I mean? Because then that's just another 4 hours and change of stuff that we got to talk about, which is, again, we love this stuff, but that's another another night. You're committing another night to this stuff. So
like I get Mania for sure.
Yes, 1,000%.
SummerSlam, I'm cool with. It's summertime. Like I'm cool with that. Now, if you're telling me, yo, we got to go to a 2-night Royal Rumble, I'm thinking, all right, how would you even do that? Couple matches, and night 1 is the women's Rumble match to main event, and then night 2 is a couple matches, and the men's Rumble to finish off night 2. Like even Survivor Series. Oh, so if you ask me, so if you did 2-night Survivor Series, for example, you could you bring back the old school traditional elimination matches, and then if you kept the War Games concept, night 1 ends with the women's War Games match. Then night 2 You might have a couple of singles matches, like championship matches or whatever. Then the final match is the men's War Games match on night 2. You're not having 2 War Games matches in one night. Aside from that, I don't know what other PLEs you would do 2 nights. I think we're cool with where we at, but you might be
Yeah.
stretching it for a Royal Rumble and Survivor Series.
Because those match cards in general are already shorter, right? Because they have to fit in
Yeah.
the Rumble, they have to bookend the Rumble and then War Games.
Yeah.
So it's like to draw that out doesn't make a lot of sense. I feel like just logistically, like it feels unnecessary. SummerSlam, I can sort of understand. I mean, that card, you know, it's in theory the second biggest PLE that they put on. So
well, it's
kinda wanna
the
stack it.
WrestleMania of the summer, Benjamin.
Right. Yeah. So I almost understand it, but even then, like I'm not I don't know how much I'm looking forward to a second night. Like I think I think once you're there, it's probably like if you're, you know, if you go to these things, it's probably gonna be fun. You're like, yeah, another night.
So like Mania 40, you was there, right? I saw
Mhm.
you. Did
Yep.
you go night 1 and 2?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I
Wow.
was gassed by
But like
by the
you have
end.
more energy for night 1. By the time we got to night 2, you're like, all right, man.
Was it
Actually,
overstimulating, overloaded?
for this one, actually, it was the reverse. Night 1, I was super gassed and freezing my ass off.
Yo, night 1, Kenny was fucking brick.
It's so cold.
Brick.
And then night 2, figured out we like layered up a little bit more. And you know, apparently, if I don't know if you guys know this, if you consume an adult beverage or 2 before you go, it does keep you warmer. So
Yeah, for
we
sure.
learned that. Yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah, and listen, hey, the home of WrestleMania 35 is the home of SummerSlam now. 2 nights.
That's
in my mind.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny, any final ones before we let Benjamin go?
Well, I would say this. What do you see, because we have Tonga and Bronson injured, and you know, Solo cut a phenomenal promo on SmackDown. What do you see next with Solo's reign? Do you see him either going for a singles championship match, or do you see him still, you know,
Good question.
attacking more within the bloodline? Do you see him going for a singles title, or do you see him continuing this bloodline war, or maybe drafting recruitments?
Man, I think if he went for another title, like I don't see him going after Cody's title. Right? Like that story's been told. I don't think he's gonna go for the US title because that almost feels like a consolation prize. I feel like the biggest thing that he's holding right now is being, you know, the tribal chief.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna hold on to that for as long as possible. And you know, him and Roman could do this dance for a little while longer. I feel like so. I think that's probably where we're headed with Solo.
Yeah. Benjamin, man, we love you, Ben. Appreciate you for coming on all the way from the Bay Area, not LA. I'm sorry. All the way in the Bay Area. You can follow my man Benjamin on Twitter at Cruise Control with KONTROL. Great job for the Ringer Wrestling Podcast with Wednesday Worldwide. Obviously, every Wednesday you can find the podcast. Kenny Kawabunga _K_E_N, myself, Rated J Cruz, RENDY, letter J CRUZ. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. And then we have youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. Good show, man. That was pretty good.
That was a good show, man. All I gotta say is this: Saturday night, baby.
That's right.
December 14th. But let's see what happens.
Let's see. Saturday night main event this Saturday. Hopefully, we get a new undisputed champion in Kevin Owens. If not, it's gonna be some furniture thrown around his house.
man, give me a present on my birthday. My birthday Friday. Give me a
Really?
championship.
Wow.
Yeah, my birthday Friday. Give me a championship on Saturday night.
Well, happy early birthday, bro. We love you. We appreciate you.
I'll be in
Let me see.
attendance at Saturday night.
I know it's happening sometime next week to get the review of Saturday Night Main Event, also for Raw and SmackDown. So what's happening next week?
Yes, sir. It's all good.
All right,
I'll give
man.
you some 756, 700, 65 million reasons. That you can get in there.
765 million reasons why. That's right. Damn, that's a quick contract, bro. It's crazy.
Crazy
For Juan Soto?
contract. Man, you imagine 700? That man's getting $97 per minute.
More than that, bro. I saw the breakdown, but it's more than that.
Yeah, 90. That's like $97 per minute, or
Yeah.
so within the next 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money when that contract kicks in. And who's going to take that contract if he decides to opt out? Who's going to want to
He
take that
can opt out
contract?
after 5 years, I think.
That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of
and
money.
deservingly so. But let me
With
wrap
the
up. I know what's happened. To chime in sometime next week to review main event Raw SmackDown. If I have time to do one more show before I head off to Florida this week, then I'll let you know. But
safe travels. Yes,
thank you,
sir.
man. I appreciate it. All right.
Right, right.